Well, we are back with the Razor, but today we're working on the 2-seater, not the 4-seater, because we have a new sound bar. Let me show you guys. Today we're installing the K66 Plus by K Speaker. This thing, yes, has speakers on the ends, as well as we have 6 speakers up here in the front, plus a nice little button control section here that we'll be able to have. And everything on the back side here, we've got everything from USB ports to 3.5mm jack, even a sub output. So if you want to run a sub secondary to this, you can do it. Now, in your box, you're going to get all sorts of goodies, including instructions. Who needs those where we're going? You also get a really set of nice zip ties, heavy duty, as well as the actual mounting brackets to put these things on with. These brackets are really nicely made. I feel like they're made of aluminum, but they have a nice cushion there to actually put against the tube. But these also work in conjunction with a set of these, which there are 2 sets of these that you'll get. You'll get ones for the bigger tubes, as well as, as the smaller tubes. So you have 2 sets of clamps there. These will basically, essentially, this bolts onto the sound bar, and this clamps around the actual tube and bolts in just like that. Quite simple. The thing I like about these is these take up minimal space, and especially if you're putting something near the roof or near anything like a window, it doesn't intrude too much. Some of them intrude a little bit more than they should, makes it a little bit more difficult to install. But you also get power cable. This power cable is super nice as well because, well, you have an inline fuse. So run this thing directly to the battery post. Got nice big ends on the end of it. And then it's just a quick connect plug into the actual soundbar itself. Super nice, super easy. You also are going to get 2 remotes as well as some straps. These Velcro straps will help keep your wiring in place. So if you don't want stuff hanging down as much, you want to keep it nice and tidy. You got a couple of those. Like I said, you get 2 remotes for that. And, these things, I always like these because it's so easy to just pull it out and you can change your equalizer settings. You can go to the next song, which you do have some buttons on the front, but generally have more functions with the actual remote itself. Now, something else you're going to get in this thing is a little tool bag kit. It comes with all the tools you need. That's right. Don't have to bring your own stuff. And last but not least, this is something I have not had before. This is actually a nice safety lanyard. So I've always kind of wondered, it's kind of made me a little nervous on my 4-seater, is if the bolt was to break or the bracket was to break, that's a lot of weight hanging from the roof there, hanging down over people's heads, especially my daughter's. So I always have wondered, should I tether it? And that's one thing they actually give you is a really nice coated cable tether system to make sure it's good and safe. Now, these 2-seaters are a little bit tricky because, well, we don't have as many bars, especially when you have the rear window in. You really only have this bar that you could technically go to if you have enough space here. But if you like to ride with your seat back, generally you don't have enough space. So really the only good choice is this upper sound bar here that we can put the sound bar on. And that's where we're going to install it today. So we'll be able to put the sound bar here, run our wire down in here and into the battery. So it should be a pretty simple install and pretty straightforward. So the first thing we're actually going to do is install these blocks. So these are the blocks that you're going to get with the kit. And what you're going to see is like a dovetail T-slot right there. Dovetail slot, maybe. Camera, possibly, right there. Now, what you're going to have is this piece of rubber will actually pop off. And what you're going to get in your kit, in your little goodie bag with it, is you're going to get 4 of these flathead screws. So we're going to take these screws, we're going to drop them down from the top side there. They're going to go down into there. And that's what we're going to tighten up. So you've got a couple different settings on this T-groove or this dovetail slot that you'll be able to pick from. So I'm going to go to the innermost because I've got 2 bars up there. I just want to be safe. So what we're going to do is take and slide this down and to about right there. We're going to put 2 of these flatheads in there. And we're going to do the same thing on both sides. So I thought this would be a little bit easier showing you outside of the car, a little bit better lit. So this is the bracket that I was telling you about with the dovetail. You're just going to pull the rubber piece off, and you're just going to take and slide this thing down. Now, what you're going to see here, let me show you guys a little bit better. You've got 4 sets of holes here. Technically, you can go to any of these. You go to there, there. I'm going to the innermost, like I said, just to make sure that I clear all of my bars in the car. I don't have any intrusions in the middle there, so we should be okay. And all you're going to do is take these Allen heads with the supplied Allen wrench, and you'll be able to tighten this right up. All right, so we're in the car, and what we're actually going to use is the smaller brackets with the bushing in there. These should fit the 2024s really good. You'll find you'll have these rubber pieces in there. There's 2 different ones. Now, the top number is what the roll bar is good for if you're running on the small bracket. If you're running on the big bracket, that's what the bottom number is for. So these things range from 1.5 inches to 1 3/4, 2 inch, and up to 2 1/4. Now, this is a 1 3/4 inch tube, so we're going to actually pull. You'll see it's perforated there for the 2 1/4. We're going to pull that piece off just like so. And then we're going to put this back into place. Now what you'll see too is it's kind of lipped there. So you'll be able to slide this back up into place. It'll snap into place like so. And then all you're going to do is wrap it around your tube like so. All right, we'll do the same thing over here. Wrap this one around. All right, so most people, some people put their sound bar hanging down. I don't like that. Parents don't like that. This could be the way. We're actually going to tilt it up. Feel like up here it's out of the way more. It's going to be firing down on us. I think it's going to work really good. All right, we've got those up in there. Now we're going to take the sound bar and we're going to slide it up into place. Go ahead and put a bolt through. Very, very tight fit. Let's see what we get that one. Let me see if we can get this one in real quick. All right, so you see that I have the bar partially up there. So I'm going to tell you right now, I have struggled getting this bracket on, this main bracket. They go over the tubes very well, but they are so tight fitting, which isn't a bad thing, but they are so tight fitting that it is super hard to get the second side around. So what I found is if you actually to almost kind of pull and straighten it down a little bit and then push it up, and it may take a few times, but you're kind of like stretching it just ever so enough that you can finally get this thing to wrap around and to be able to get a nut on there. Now, honestly, I only put the one nut to start with just to make sure I don't lose it. That bolt is not started right. Psych. Yes, it was. So now I can go ahead and put. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I have fought with that for a minute. And it was literally just, you have to really kind of pull and stretch that thing enough because it's such a tight fit that really is difficult. So now we've got it on. Now you also see me using an impact instead of the provided wrench because, well, it's just faster. Yes, you do get a wrench, but this is so much faster. All right, up next, we're going to pull the seat out. Now, depending on your model, wherever your battery's located at, that's going to change. But for the Razor, the 2024s, it's under the driver's seat. So we're going to pull the driver's seat out. And then what you'll need is a T40 a T40 Torx bit. Now we're going to take our T40. We're going to remove this one screw there. And then this should lift up and out the way like so. Now we're exposed to our battery terminals. Now what we're going to do next is get our actual power cable, which I've already undone and show you guys. It is plenty long enough. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and hook it up here at the top just so I can start getting my routing down. I'm going to put all the excess down by the battery because we have a big area there. And I'm going to let the fuse kind of sit probably somewhere down there. Just I don't want it to be on the bottom completely. But we should be able to hook up to our terminals here, our battery post right there. If you're worried about battery draw or anything like that, you know, you could go to the pulse bar. You could go to a switch. You can go to a relay that turns on. There's a lot of different avenues of being able to do this. We're going to go straight to the battery. It's the easiest, quickest, and really should never have an issue. So, yeah, let me get this wire routed first, and then I'll show you what I've done on the round, and then we'll hook it up and go from there. All right, so it's probably a little bit hard to see, but I've got the wire just wrapped around, coming around the, I guess from the A post, or really not the A post, but the headache bar, whatever you want to call this, coming around this bar, around and down the B pillar. We're wrapping down through here. It's going behind, just down through in there. We've got it tucking around underneath this. So we're going to cut this off. Yes, this is a temporary thing, but it's actually done pretty well. I mean, it's done better than nothing. So we may eventually change that, but it's insulation for now. So now what we're going to do though is hook up our battery post and basically tie this wire back so it's not in the way. All right, now as convenient as this happens to also be the same size, which is a 10 millimeter that what the nuts are that come in the kit. So technically you can take this thing loose with this. And seeing as there's not a ton of room in here, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead, completely get this off of there. Now, technically, you could just put like another nut on top and sandwich it in there. I'm going to take this thing completely loose. Make sure we get everything kind of laid down like we need to. All right, so now what I'm going to do is take this battery post on off, but I am going to go ahead and put this back through there and go ahead and put the negative on there and just get it started back again. Now let's do the positive side. We're going to go ahead and at this point we can just put the positive on there and start tightening this back up. Now I'm going to lay it over to the side so it should hopefully clear right along the side of this wire. Should clear the battery cover that goes on here. Make sure you get it good and tight. Put that cover back on. Now we'll go to the negative. We're going to do the same thing. Lay that wire over there. All right. So before we go any further, let's just see, do we get power? Indeed, we do. So we've got power now. We know that. Let's tidy up the wires. Basically, we're just going to kind of wrap these around and kind of just, honestly, I'm going to just kind of zip tie them together right there. And then we'll put the cover back on. We can put everything back together. So before I put the seat back in, what I wanted to see is that I've left it to where we can get to that fuse really easy, so we don't have to pull this back off. But the wires bundle up really nice there. Honestly, I mean, without running wires through tubes, all that crap, you ain't gonna notice it. So let me get the seat in. Let's go see how this thing actually does, see how it sounds. So now the fun part. Let's get this thing hooked up to our phone real quick, and let's see what the music sounds like. So we're going to go in just like you do any other Bluetooth connections, and then you're going to go to Bluetooth, and you're going to look for, let's see here. You're going to go to what you see is the K plus 66 speaker. We're going to hook that up. Now I've got the remote set up, ready to use, but hopefully we can now listen to some music. So let's head over to Good old trusty Epidemic. Get some royalty-free music going. See how it sounds. Okay, first off, we got to just stop this because I don't think the camera is going to pick up how much bass this thing has to it. I mean, I feel it thumping in my chest, which is really, I don't know, it's really kind of wild feeling. We're going to get on the road because I want to see how this thing does going down the road. It gets very loud in here, so I have a feeling it's going to do very well down the road. But before we get to that, let me just show you some of the features this thing has. So what you're going to see here is the middle, there's a blue indicator light. Right now it's on blue. Now you can take and you can either hit mode from here or you can hit mode from your remote. And that is basically, you see it going between yellow and blue. So that goes between the USB. Yellow is USB. Now this is a USB stick that they provided. I'm not going to play the music too long because it's probably copyrighted. But you can go back to blue, and that is going to be your actual Bluetooth. Now, if you had something in the auxiliary, the purple would light up when you go to that. Here's your Bluetooth button if you need to get on and off, you know, to try to repair it. You got a volume buttons. Something I want to mention to you guys is the plus and minus is not just volume. It also cycles through tracks. So if you do a long press, it adjusts the volume. If you do a short press, what it'll do is change songs. So there, we're doing short presses. Now, if we do long presses, it'll turn the volume down. Or, in this case, you can hold it and turn the volume up. So, multi-functions off of that. And you also have your power. You do have equalizer mode there. Now, you don't have anything for your color lights up here. That is all off your remote. In this case, so you can short press and scroll through your light modes. Or you can hold it for a while and it turns it completely off. Now, you still have these outer speaker lights. Those do not go off. You hold it on again, turns the speaker lights back on. You do have, you'll see there's 4 settings for the actual equalizer, but you do have play. In this case, we should be able to hit play. Like if we're on Spotify, we'll be able to play it, skip the next song, and volume up. Let me go to Spotify real quick, because let me show you how that works on here. So we're on Spotify now. I've got it set up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hit play, and you'll see the song comes on. Sleep is friends with death. Yeah, you can scroll through your Spotify list. You can also pause it from here. Volume up, volume down. So you can do a lot with the remote, so it's always handy. The best place, at least in the 2024 Razor, to put this thing is going to be up here in your little glove box. But let's hit the road. Let's see how this thing sounds going down the road at 60, 70 mile an hour. Let's see if it's, well, as good as it sounds in here. So I've got to say this thing is way more impressive than I thought it would be. You know, I've had other sound bars and stuff. I got to say this one has a lot of thump to it when you're sitting here. Now, when you get out on the road, of course, it gets lost kind of in the sound, but uh, at speeds of 60, 65, this thing is still blaring and you can still hear it very well. Very impressive speaker. I mean, the build quality seems very nice on it, and I really like a lot about this thing. I'll say that it was easier but harder to install at the same time. I didn't have to pull the roof off to be able to install this one, so it's really nice being able to just kind of wrap around it. But at the same time, those clamps are super hard to get pulled around. But once you get it on there, at least get one on there, you can get the the nut on it and tighten it up and kind of pull it in so you can get the other one on. Um, Pretty impressed with it. Now, like I said, we've kind of mounted this a little bit unconventional. It's up overhead. We've got it tucked up. I mean, it's very, very solid up there. Really like a lot of the features. Really everything is kind of here at the buttons. If you want to, you can turn the volume up or down. You could skip to the next song. Just all depends on if you do a long press or short press. Equalizer buttons are here. You don't know what equalizer setting you're on, so you just have to kind of press it and see which one sounds best to you when you're doing it. You have your mode settings, so if you're wanting to switch between being on Bluetooth, USB, or 3.5, like I said, this thing also has a bass output, so you can actually hook that up, put you another sub in here if you want to. Everything's right here at the fingertips. It does give you an indicator letting you know which mode you're in. We're in Bluetooth mode right now. We're going to jump over to yellow, which is going to be the actual USB mode. I mean, very impressed with it, to say the least. Very impressed with it. And, for the most part, pretty simple install. Hook it straight to the battery. Plenty of wire length that they give in this thing. So really, really nice setup. And I'll definitely put a link down in the description for you guys to pick one up if you're interested in it. Check the link down below. I'm going to tell you, you're not going to go wrong. It is a very nice setup for the money and really has some good sound output. And like I said, you can run at speeds and still hear it, so I'm really, really, really impressed with it. But guys, I appreciate you all for watching this. We're going to end this video off here. We got more coming up. Stay tuned. We'll see you on the next one.